Okay, so first pedal we've got there is a TC Electronic Mini Micro Polytune, like does the job, there's nothing to argue about that. Then into a compressor, which is an old Boss CS3. It's actually set up to be a limiter. Let's see if we can get in and show that. It's set up to be a limiter, and the attack's almost all the way up, so you still get a lot of the guitar's attack, but it means that there's kind of a consistent, slightly lower input going to all the pedals. It means you get a decent boost when you hit something like a distortion. So after the compressor, go into this Murder 1, which is like a guitar kill switch, but in the pedal. It's pretty simple. Then into this Moore Lo-Fi machine, which is sort of like a bit reducing thing to make stuff sound like a bit like 8-bit synthesizer sort of stuff. I'm using a couple of things. Then everything goes into the Digitech Whammy. That's a Whammy 4. It sounds horrible, it tracked horribly, and that's why it's awesome, because the newer Whammies, let's face it, are just a bit kind of pristine and that, and we're into that. And then we split the guitar at the Whammy, and you see it's colour coded there. I'm going to follow the lead channel first. The lead channel is the green one there. That's the wet output. That goes to this fuzz pedal. That's a Zoom UFO fuzz, ultra fuzz pedal, which then goes into where does it go? It goes, the red one goes into, oh of course, yeah, so it goes out of the UFO fuzz, I can't even remember this half the time, into a Boss power wah, which is set on the Vox setting. There you can just about see. With the wah range rolled off a little to the left, so you can get this kind of slightly scoopy kind of weird sounds with the fuzz. And then that comes out into the Amp Tweaker Type Metal for the really kind of genty type sounds if you're into that. And then that goes into this loop pedal. And in the loop we've got a old Boss DD6 and a TC Hall of Fame. TC Hall of Fame comes after the DD6. And then that loop pedal goes out to, where does it go? It goes to the, does it go to the UWA? Yeah, it goes to the UWA. The UWA is on channel 1. And then the UWA goes into one of the stereo inputs of the tremolo pan, and then the ditto, and then out via that cable, and that goes off into the distance over there. And so then back to the rhythm channel. That's the yellow cable here out for Whammy. So this is the dry signal, so we can use the Whammy basically for harmonies even when we've got it in the regular pitch shifting mode. That goes into this. This is an ENO Myomorpha. It's basically a Rat clone. I called it the Bash pedal, as you can see from that little painting on it. And that's kind of like, it's like a Rat clone, but it's kind of in a boosty type setting now. It gives it a bit of dirt. So this channel is very like a wet dry rig, in the sense that like one of these channels is almost always pretty dry, but it does have gain on it, and so I do have times when I'm using both channels distorted, and it's quite powerful sound. So this then goes out and into the particle, and there's a expression pedal over here. You can see, just a really cheap one. So the particle's over here, and then that goes into Super Shifter, and then a Boss BF3 flanger, which is a stereo flanger, and it's set up on a gate mode, so that it almost sounds a little bit like a tremolo and a flanger at the same time. And then we've got a Wasabi chorus trem, which is set up like so. And basically that's used to be sort of like a detuney type chorus effect and a sort of mild tremolo, although I have to admit I barely ever use the tremolo, it's mainly used as a chorus. And then that comes back into the Boss tremolo pan, and then out to the ditto looper, and then off into Magic Land. And actually there's also the Space Echo, which goes on that channel, the dry channel, although at the moment it's not wired in because it'd have to be on for the 5 or 6 hours we're going to be recording today. This motor is always spinning even when the echo's not actually engaged, so I'm not going to have it just the motor spinning for 6 hours. So when we are going to use it, I'm going to wire it in. And the only other thing I suppose to say is that the channel A So the brown cable coming out here is going out into a Marshall JCM 900, and the black one, which is the rhythm channel, it's going out into a very, very clean, quite clinical sounding, that sort of deliberate line 6 duotone, which is voiced a little bit like a Soldano SLO 100. Obviously it's a modeler, so it's not perfect, but that's sort of the tone it's going for. When I have space and when it's possible to do so, I use a Fender Twin on that channel, which is obviously a very, very different sound, and we might end up using a Fender DeVille in this session today. So we'll see about that. At the moment that's what's wired up, and we're going to give that a check and see how it sounds. So anyway, that's the board as it is now. It's time to go and play some guitar.